Welcome to our first live Q&A coaching call. This is a free coaching call that I am offering to the JESS Fitness community so that you all can jump in, ask your questions, and we learn along the way. I know there's lots of questions out there. I know there's lots of answers out there. And I hope that as being a part of the JESS Fitness community, we can have that trust and rapport that I'm going to steer you in the right direction based on your goals and knowing that you're in that space with me. So we do have one person live, and I had a couple questions submitted to me. So we'll flow through those, but I want to go through a couple announcements first. The first thing is going to be that the new summer apparel from First Form is live. It is incredible, and you don't want to miss it. And a couple of the pieces have already sold out, and this is my favorite apparel drop yet. So I will put it in the video description if you're watching the recording, but go ahead and check that out before it goes. Next is going to be that these weekly calls are going to happen every single week. I'm going to pilot different times to make sure people can attend live. But this, if you have a time that works best for you, let me know, and I will do my best to make it work. Now, my daughter might be running around in the background, but hey, we do what we can. So diving right in, I have a couple hot topics I want to touch on that I know people have had questions about in the past, but I definitely want to answer the ones that got submitted to me first. So one is from Cassie in our group, and she's asking about caffeine, if it's bad, how to use it, the mushroom coffee, matcha. There's so much out there, when to drink it. And so, caffeine itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. When you're pregnant, you can only have, 100 milligrams of it. And that's for an important reason. But when we are not, most energy drinks have about 200 milligrams. I aim, just as a leader in the space for you all, I aim for 200 to 400 milligrams a day. And I'm starting to wean myself off of that, because the question is, why are you reaching for the caffeine? That's the question you're going to want to ask yourself. Because if you're reaching for the caffeine because you're tired, well, can we improve your sleep? Are you reaching the caffeine because you need motivation to do your workout? Well, you can get that from a little Rice Krispie treat or something like that. And so really understanding, how can I fuel my body or care for my body first and foremost before assessing my desire for the caffeine. Some people just like the taste of coffee. So physiologically, no, caffeine is not bad, although it does put your body into a fight or flight mode, this kind of heightened hyper mode. And so if you find that you're struggling with inflammation, acne, upset stomach, I feel like I'm doing a commercial right now. If your body's going through anything, calming your body down can really support that healing process. And so I recommend 200 milligrams a day and to just leave it at that. Now, when it comes to the mushroom coffees and the matchas, matcha is a superfood. And so it is going to support your body just having more natural energy without the caffeine piece. And the mushroom coffee, again, is going to have these healing properties of focus and, again, soothing the body. So for each individual thing, just do your research and ask yourself, do I want this, or are there other ways I can serve my body? And ideally, we have protein before we have caffeine, and we also hydrate before we have caffeine, because at the end of the day, caffeine is dehydrating. It's a diuretic, and our body is so much water that giving it any reason to lose that water and not replenish it on the front end, we're just not going to be in a good spot. We're going to run into cravings. Our body's just going to have a harder time losing body fat. It's going to pare down our muscle because it's dehydrated. So I can't live without my, 2 energy drinks a day, but I'm recognizing the other places too where I can boost my energy. So I hope that answers your question. Don't be afraid of caffeine. Just enjoy it, healthily and in moderation. Live member Stephanie, what questions do you have around health, fitness, mindset, life? And if you have multiple, we'll just go through them.
Do you want me to say it out loud?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I have a question regarding the hydration sticks, or whatever the hydration product you put in waters. Like, I don't sweat a lot when I work out, and I do work out really hard. I'm not one of those people who sweats. So I don't feel like I'm losing water. I don't drink a lot of water, but I just would like to get the lowdown on that.
Absolutely. So the hydration stick from First Form is an electrolyte stick. They're the ones that I choose to use because most of the electrolyte sticks have cane sugar in them, or they're not really a complete set of the electrolytes. And so the way that our body works is everything that happens in our body, our muscle squeezing, our heart beating, our liver doing whatever livers do. Every single action in our body begins with our electrolytes moving around and changing polarities in our body. And so, if we're not constantly refilling our body with electrolytes so it can stay in balance as it's using these electrolytes all day long for every single thing we do, we're going to be out of whack. This is where little heart palpitations happen. This is where muscle cramps or spasms happen. This is where cravings happen, fatigue happens because we're depleted of the foundational ingredient, that very first ingredient for everything that happens in our body. And while yes, we do lose it primarily through sweating or excreting, going to the bathroom. Just because we're not sweating doesn't mean we're not still using and utilizing and getting rid of those electrolytes. So, right out the gate, we want to make sure we're drinking enough water. That's kind of the first thing to conquer is making sure you're drinking enough water. Your muscle is 70% water. So if you're not drinking water constantly, your blood's going to be thin, your muscles are going to be all deflated, and our body's just not going to function well. You think about our blood has a lot of water in it, and we need to keep the blood thick and hydrated as well. So getting 100 ounces of water if you're less than 200 pounds, 120 ounces of water if you're more than 200 pounds. And once you conquer that habit, that's where, or leading into it, I would really recommend now adding on that habit of the electrolytes. What I like to do is if you don't want to buy the hydration sticks, I use sea salt, either Celtic sea salt, Himalayan pink salt, and put it in my water in the morning, just enough so you can taste it. This isn't the dehydrating kind of salt, like table salt, or like what you find in, foods. So I always use Celtic sea salt, but sodium is just one electrolyte. We also have potassium, magnesium. And so make sure that, if you're feeling things like cravings or dehydration or headaches or fatigue, it can be boiled down to just needing electrolytes. So conquer your water, then start incorporating electrolytes or just sea salt, even if you don't sweat. So I hope that helps. Cool. Cool. Jenna's in the house. Jenna, if you have any questions while you are on your hot girl walk, go ahead and drop them in the chat so I can get them answered for the group. Couple topics that I want to cover that I know are asked frequently. The first one's going to be creatine. I feel like I haven't had like a steady place to talk about it. And so I do want to talk about creatine to the group. Creatine is something that if you are lifting weights in any capacity, we really should be taking. Creatine is the fuel source for our muscle to squeeze, especially in those first few squeezes. And it also, when we flood our body with creatine, that fuel can refuel a lot faster in between sets. And so you're going to have a lot more oomph in the beginning of your set. You're going to have a lot more resiliency to continue on to your next set. For my F45ers, this is incredibly helpful for you because you have those shorter rest times. So you're ready to go sooner. But my favorite part about creatine is that it pulls water into your muscle cell. And so I was saying, imagine when you had those big gallon jugs of water that are plastic, like the Arrowhead ones. And when it's filled with water, that's your muscle on creatine. And you dump out some of the water and crunch it down, and it's all deflated. And that's your muscle without creatine. Our muscle wants water pulled into it so it can squeeze harder, get more fuel and blood delivered to it. And aesthetically, it's a lot more pleasing. Now, the one thing I want to debunk is that people say that creatine makes you bloated. It absolutely does not. Creatine pulls water into the muscle cell. So that's intracellular water. Extracellular water is bloating. So while you will gain 1 to 2 pounds of water weight from taking creatine, just know that your muscle performance from taking it is going to allow you to work harder and perform better so you can lose those 1 to 2 pounds faster in the form of fat. And again, you won't notice too much in your clothes because it is that intracellular water. Now, everyone has a different experience with it, but highly recommend. There's a lot of cognitive research lately for women for focus and memory. It's affordable, just any creatine monohydrate. I love First Forms because it helps me get free shipping on my other supplement orders like protein. So that's one thing. Next up, if Jenna doesn't have anything she wants to talk about, next up, I'm going to talk about seed oils because I feel like it's coming up a lot. It's faded a little bit, but I want to talk about seed oils and why they're a little vilified, demonized, whatever the word is. So seed oils are going to be the oils from the right the seeds. We kind of try to stay away from sunflower, canola. They say, don't cook with olive oil because it's unstable. And the end all message is that all of those oils are really, really, really high in omega-6. And we get omega-6 from a lot of places in our diet, especially Western culture. Farm raised fish, grain of any sort, seed oils. When our body has a ton of omega-6 and not enough omega-3, it's causing really hard to reverse damaging inflammation in our body. You may feel this in your joints. You may feel this by brain fog. You may just see it in your face. When our body is inflamed, it just can't do what we need it to do because it's too busy focusing on putting out the flames rather than focusing on burning body fat or moving well. So how do we combat this? Well, one, yeah, avoid seed oils, but if you can flood your body with enough high EPA and DHA of a fish oil, you're going to be in a really good place because the only way that we can offset that omega-6 damage is by getting enough omega-3. So what I highly encourage you to do is utilize a high EPA and DHA fish oil. I use Full Mega from First Form because you're not going to find a better EPA and DHA. That's the omega-3s we need. Combat that omega-6 inflammation than that product. So if you want to run the one by me that maybe you got from Costco, we'll look at the label and talk about what we really need. But that efficacious dose is really important for, again, joint health. Fish oil is like a natural Tylenol that doesn't damage your liver. I don't remember which one damages your liver, but it's just nature's Tylenol. If you're feeling inflamed or you're feeling that pain, I double up on my dose for the day. And it's one of those things where I do notice a difference when I miss it. So keep that in mind. Don't fear seed oils, but do your best to get your omega-6s or omega-3s. The whole food route for omega-3s, just so we're all aware, because I'm always going to give you the whole food source along with the supplement source, is 3 to 5 servings a week of wild caught fatty fish. So salmon, mackerel, herring, anchovies. I don't know who eats those last three, but salmon. Okay, next hot topic I want to touch on is how to hit your protein goal without going over on your carbs or fat. And also, what's more important, hitting your protein goal or staying in a calorie deficit? Because in my coaching method, the goal is calories and protein. So first off, how do we hit our protein goal in the first place? My initial recommendation is you're going to get a lot of fat grams from an effort to get protein from animal sources. You're going to have all your meats have fat in them as well. And so in an effort to hit your protein goal, a lot of people accidentally go way over on fat. So first attack is going to be lean protein sources, chicken breast over chicken thigh, white fish over fatty fish, because you're taking your omega-3s, 90% or higher ground meat. And this will allow you to have your protein be higher without your fat grams going up. Next thing is for my non-meat eating folks, their carbs go through the roof trying to hit protein because all their protein sources have a lot of carbs like beans and quinoa, things like that. And so really trying to find, again, those lean protein sources like bone broth, collagen, Formula One Clear from First Form, that's 0 carbs, 0 fat. It's really going to support you. What I've found when I first started tracking to hit my protein goal and not go over my calories was I never ate fat on purpose because I knew I was taking my omega-3 fish oil, so I knew I was getting that healthy fat I needed, but I didn't eat avocado or peanut butter, and I cooked with as little oil as possible. And by avoiding those high fat things and doing lean proteins, you get to a point in your journey where you're like, how the heck do I hit my fat grams goal? And you suddenly start struggling to do it because you've gotten so attuned to not avoiding, but focusing on protein in those leaner sources. Once you do that, then you can start to navigate incorporating avocado, which is so high in fiber, right? Enjoying your peanut butter, although I try to only do 1 tablespoon when I do it because it's just not worth the calories when you consider the food volume. But that's where that comes into play. Again, if you're really struggling to hit your protein goal, I cannot speak more highly to Formula One Clear and collagen from First Form. It's 0 carbs, 0 fat. You get 35 grams of protein when you do a scoop of each. Don't hesitate to do that twice a day. That's 70 grams of a protein juice that you had. Okay. So lean on that, especially a high quality product that's low temperature processed. It's going to sit really nice on your stomach. That collagen has 5 different collagen types in it. You're going to be probably halfway to your goal, just about, and won't have to think about it or force it or prep it or shop for it. So that's my recommendation too. Now, what's more important? Do I go over on my calories so that I hit my protein goal for the day? Or do I not hit my protein goal for the day because, well, I need to stay under on my calories? My rule of thumb here is don't miss twice. If you saw that you went over on your calories in an effort to hit your protein, well, be humble, take responsibility, and then take initiative to reflect on why that happened. Well, I had bacon and pork and steak and eggs and cheese. So maybe tomorrow I will do bacon and chicken and tilapia and 0 fat Greek yogurt. Okay, if you can pivot and really understand why it happened, and I'm there to help you uncover that, you won't miss twice. Similarly, if you went, if you haven't hit your protein yet, but you've hit your calories already, or vice versa, again, it's just swapping things out for the leaner protein or omitting certain ingredients because you're looking at the day and not missing twice. But if you had to, if you really had to, I would rather you stay in a calorie deficit for that day. It's okay if you didn't hit your protein all the way. There is a lot of research coming out about how much protein you really need, but 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight is a surefire way to not lose your muscle, keep your metabolism boosted, and burn body fat. But if there's a day where you just couldn't hit it, I'd personally rather you stay in that calorie deficit and stay on the trajectory of weight loss, but know that you're going to do better tomorrow. So that answers that. Another topic that I've been hearing a lot about lately is BCAAs. And this was something, it was like one of the first sports supplements I ever took because I just thought, I don't know what I thought. It was kind of on the shelf, nice label. I wanted to be fit. I didn't know what it was doing or how it was going to help me. So I'm going to break it down for you with my master's in exercise physiology. Proteins are made up of amino acids, right? So it's kind of like how atoms are made up of quarks. So you have your protein, it's made up of amino acids. There are medium chain amino acids, branch chain amino acids. And remember, there's 9 essential amino acids, so on and so forth. We know that word. But the branch chain amino acids, isoleucine, leucine, and then one more, it's escaping me. Their functions are to slow the breakdown of muscle during a workout, speed up the recovery of muscle after a workout. Those are their 2 primary sources from those 3. The effect that they're going to have on you is so minimal. You won't notice, you won't feel it unless you are an elite athlete, Olympic athlete that wants to improve their time by 0.05 seconds. That's when it's going to help you. Just to be frank, don't waste your money. There are BCAAs in protein powders. You're getting them. Don't micromanage. I need to be taking BCAAs. If you're not hitting your calories, you're not hitting your protein, if you're not hitting your steps, you're not hitting your water daily. I don't want to hear about it. Okay. You're trying to distract yourself. because it's easier to nitpick on those fun little things than to come face to face with whether or not you're doing the work on what is clear to help you reach your goal. The big four: calories, protein, water, and movement. Lock it in. So now there's EAAs. Those are essential amino acids. Those would be great for people who really, really struggle to get complete protein sources. So vegans, vegetarians, taking some EAAs will really help make sure that you actually get muscle protein synthesis from your food. But that is that. Now, has my talking sparked anything from my live audience with any questions about health, fitness, nutrition, exercise?
Not for me yet.
Okay, cool. Yay. Hi, Jenna.
Hi.
All right. Something that I can definitely bring up is the new, you know, women are starting to lift weights a lot more. And I want to just capitalize on that concept of why we're doing it. Because when we've tried to lose weight in the past, the thought was more cardio, hour on the elliptical, got to do my hour on the elliptical, more cardio, eat less, eat salads. And what we're finding is that there's a much better, healthier, more fun approach to losing weight. At the end of the day, your muscle is the main driver of metabolism. And so, if we can pour into our muscle, make our muscle stronger, make our muscle more capable of eating up calories, we're going to be in a much better place to sustain our weight loss. Because if you're losing weight by doing cardio all the time, guess what? You're going to have to keep doing that cardio all the time. And while, yes, we want to be lifting weights and moving our body for the rest of your life, you're going to find yourself having a much better experience by pouring more into lifting weights as your form of exercise and then just getting your steps. Your steps burn calories the same way that hour on the elliptical does. Well, yes, you may be burning more in that moment. We give too much credit to exercise in calories burned. I set your calorie intake limit, your food, based on how many steps I expect you to take every day. And if you happen to have a little more intense of a movement day, awesome. You're going to be in a steeper calorie deficit for that day, a little oomph. But the idea is that when you're exercising, pour into your muscle, pour into getting stronger, improving your bone density, and let your steps all throughout the day support you on the cardio. Now, if you're someone who really struggles to get their steps in, I would recommend focusing on hitting that first, and really locking that in. So maybe cutting your weight training session in half and spending about 30, 45 minutes on the treadmill getting those steps in, because that's really burning the calories. If you're struggling to get your steps in, that's when I would lower the calories you're eating. But that's the last thing I want to do. So you kind of get the two ends of the spectrum of we either burn more calories or we eat less calories, and we can burn more calories by doing cardio, but also by changing our muscle. So our muscle burns more calories all the time on its own. Awesome. Cool. So I don't have too many other hot topics I want to touch on tonight. So I just want to remind you all that what you're doing, it's not going to be a quick fix, and that's totally okay. The results you're seeking are really exciting. Like, you imagine yourself looking in the mirror and looking the way that you want to look, waking up and having the energy you want. It's so exciting. But, but, sorry, I'm laughing at something Jenna put in the chat. Um, oh no, I lost my train of thought. Jenna, you were too funny.
You were telling us that what we're building is really important. I was saying you permissioned me to leave class early.
Yeah.
That's making me laugh.
You
I do have
know,
can I ask you a question though, if we already lost our train of thought? Can you talk a little bit about fueling your body in the morning before a workout, especially for people like me who hate eating food in the morning, have like a, espresso shot and go work out? Like, what's the benefit of putting a little bit of something in my system that's not throwing off my macros or calories for the day?
absolutely. Good question. And the reality is that when our muscle squeezes, it can only squeeze with blood sugar. It needs blood sugar to squeeze. And so if we don't give our body a little bit of blood sugar in the morning, Our body can't go access stored glycogen. It can't go access stored fat without blood sugar. It's just the cycle. It's in every physiology textbook. And so while you probably can get through a workout, you'd be shocked how much more strong, powerful, capable, energized you are with a little blood sugar. My top two recommendations would be a little snack size Rice Krispie treat or half of a semi-ripe banana. Now, the way you'll feel okay about this is that every bite of that Rice Krispie treat or banana, so again, a quick carb, that's going to spike your blood sugar right before the workout. It's going to be gone. It will not be, you cannot store that food in your body. While it does play into your total calories, it got burned up in that workout. And so we don't want to eat too many calories before workout, but just enough. I used to do creamer in my coffee. That wasn't quite enough, but it was something. It could be a bite of a bar. Now, post-workout, you want to have protein and carbs. The protein can't get into our muscle without a little bit of carbs. And so what I recommend is half of the banana before the workout. And then after the workout, have the other half with your protein powder. So those two options won't slam your calories for the day too much. So I hope that helps, Jenna, and convinces you to, because you will feel so strong and so much better with that little bit of energy. Yeah. And I remember, I stayed on track with what I was going to say. The results you're going to get are going to be really exciting, you guys, but the path there is not exciting, and that's okay. But you have to be willing to go through the monotony and the boringness and not say, this isn't working because I'm bored, or this can't be working because it's so boring. No, you're not trusting yourself to be able to do something for long enough to see it through because it's either boring or because you're afraid of what's going to happen when you reach those results. That you're going to have to maintain them, that you're going to be a person that you don't recognize. That's okay. Continue to get to know the person that you want to be. Act as if you are already her. What decisions would she make? And you might not know all those answers yet, but act as if is a much better spin on fake it till you make it. So if I went out to dinner, the Jess that is the leanest, strongest, most confident version of herself is going to order a beautiful Caesar salad with salmon on top, rather than what I used to order would be a cheeseburger with a fried egg and a milkshake and a bunch of wine. It is what it is. Act as if you are already her. And that can be your mantra when you're about to go do something that you know isn't in alignment with who you want to be or how you want to look. Act as if, and it'll help you. Maybe add a little snap, maybe do a little hug, something. But just know it's going to be boring, and that's okay. And there are ways where it doesn't have to be boring. You don't have to hide away and disappear to lose the weight, let's say. But you have to act as if. There are ways that you can add variety to simple meals. There's ways that you can add flavor to very simple meals. I had to like pull teeth to teach my professional chef boyfriend how to make it flavorful without being high calorie. But we arrived, we got there. We're probably going to make a cookbook soon. But when you're going through a day where you're like, I'm so bored of this pasta, ground beef, and peas, so bored, that's when you perk up and say, that means I'm on the right path. I'm doing it. This is the work that I've always avoided or quit on, because you're going to trust that I've given you the right calories, the right guidance, the right protein goal. If you can finish your day and say, you know what, I ate in a calorie deficit, I hit my step goal, I hit my protein, I know this is going to work. But you're not going to see the result of today for 30, 60, 90 days. So look at where you are at today. You are where you are at today, not because of what you did yesterday, but because of what you were doing 90 days ago, because of what you were doing 60 days ago. What would happen if you poured in, all in? All in does not mean perfect, you guys. I want you to understand that. Ladies, I hate when people say you guys to a group of women. All in does not mean perfect. It's intention. So run with that, okay? I am going to set you free. I am going to go grab my daughter and hang out with her. And I just want to remind you that you were made for more. You were made for more than being self-conscious. You were made for more than shame around your food choices. You were made for more than tiptoeing around your kids, your daughters, about weight. You were made for more than where you're at now. So we're going to climb the mountaintops together. We're going to fall, we're going to slip, but just remind yourself, I'm going to act as if I'm already at the mountaintop because I know I was made for more than this. And love yourself where you're at. I love you where you're at, but there's more. So let's go find it. Okay. Love you guys. Thanks for joining live, Jenna and Steph, and I'll catch you later. Bye.
Thanks, Jeff.